It was President Theodore Roosevelt who once told the American people, sometimes there are causes greater than our own. What he was talking about was the leadership and responsibility of people sent to Washington to do the work of the American people. He believed it was important to understand larger societal and even world issues beyond personal motivations. But I think his message was much broader than that. The message really applies to all of us. In other words, as Americans, whether we sit in Congress or in the Oval Office or on Main Street, we all have a role. We all have a responsibility that goes beyond our personal conveniences. And sometimes we have to accept things that may disrupt our lives in the short term. But the long term reward is greater than the short term pains we endure, even necessary, because the greatest disruption might happen if we do nothing, if we ignore the cause and aren't willing to make certain sacrifices for the greater good. I remember, like we all do after 9/11, how it turned our world upside down. Flying went from something easy to something cumbersome and a bit intrusive. I mean, I never thought a possible cavity search might be part of my next vacation, but hey, that's where we landed, right? Pardon the pun. It was a pain in the ass, and it continues to be one today, but we are safer because of it. We may not have been safer had we not endured the inconveniences, had we not been willing to do that. That's not to say people didn't complain and complain loudly about the extra steps that had to be taken. At the time, I wrote an article titled Profile of a Patriot, wherein I talked about our duty as citizens to endure a little pain sometimes. The thing is, it's easy for us to get wrapped up in our own worlds. We just want to go to work, run our errands, get the kids off to sports events, see our 401ks grow, and all the other everyday normal things Americans do. We don't want interruptions. We don't want things getting in our way. But the reality is that the world is much bigger than we are. And the things that happen in the world don't always align with everyday American wants and desires. There are people in the world that don't care about your job, your kid's baseball game, or your retirement goals. Sometimes they just want to unalive us, and we have to be keenly aware of that. And don't we know that life never really happens in a straight line anyway? There always are ups and downs, curves and bends, trials and tribulations, and then there are the good days in between all of that. We're in Iran right now. There's a lot of people that have said, wait a minute, didn't Trump campaign for no more wars? What the heck are we doing here? It's caused the stock market to spiral downward. We're locked up in the Strait of Hormuz and oil prices are skyrocketing. It's going to add to inflation because, of course, everything we buy moves with oil. It hurts. And, of course, it hurts some more than others. But here's the thing. I think Trump understands Theodore Roosevelt's message. I think he also understands his great responsibility to the American people, our way of life, and keeping good and strong, all those things that are important to us. Unfortunately, that sometimes comes at a cost. Sometimes it means our lives might be disrupted a little bit. Sometimes it means we have to put troops in harm's way to make sure tomorrow has just as much opportunity to be good as yesterday did. President Trump was recently on the Five on Fox News, and he was asked about this very thing, about the war in Iran. He essentially said he had to do something in terms of making America great and keeping America great. And he made it very clear that if you have a madman or a mad ideology who has nuclear capabilities, that's a very dangerous thing. And you simply cannot let that happen. It's the greater good that's the important thing. The sacrifice, he is saying, is unfortunate, but also necessary. It pains him too. He's a proud man. He likes to accomplish things. If anyone can say with a straight face, Trump isn't a braggadocious man, good luck even finding that person. The memes are funny because they're true. He understands about the markets taking a steep dive. He knows this hurts people. He knows it looks bad on him, and he knows people will blame him directly for it and even use it as a talking point or a rebuttal against him. But he said, despite hitting 50,000 on the Dow, which he's very proud of, we have to take a little detour. These are bad people, and if they were to obtain nuclear capabilities, this would be a very bad thing that could potentially affect many lives here and around the world. Hitting good numbers in our portfolio is great, but it means nothing if we have nuclear bombs coming at us. And Iran is a country who always made it clear. They don't want nuclear bombs to protect themselves. They want them to do some damage and spread their ideology around the world. They don't like democracy. They abhor Western culture. They see us as vermin invading the world and spreading disease. When it comes to Trump dissenters, it always comes down to one thing. But I thought you said. Trump doesn't like war. Really, I don't think anyone likes it, but it is sometimes necessary, however unfortunate that is. The gas prices rising sucks. We all hate it. It could drive prices up. We hate that too. But I thought Trump said we'd bring prices down. I thought he said he'd make the markets win. Again, Trump does want those things, but he also understands the greater good. And that sometimes we have to take detours in order to accomplish the bigger picture goal, to keep America safe and to give it the opportunity to be prosperous without hindrances. If we simply ignore bad players in the world just to avoid short-term inconveniences, we might be prone to facing much longer-term ones. As Americans, I think it's important we pay good attention to what goes on around us in the rest of the world, that we consider how what goes on in the rest of the world can affect us, our way of life, and how it can affect the quality of our life. That's part of our role, really, to be able to sometimes take a step back, endure a few punches, take a few things on the chin, and be willing to make a few sacrifices for the country. Trump actually talks about this all the time, although, of course, a good many people don't hear the message. He often says, sometimes we're going to have a bit of short-term pain, but we have to go through it if we want the better thing that comes from the result of doing the hard things first. People might be inclined to say, he's breaking a promise, but really he's keeping it. Think about this. Someone comes to the president and says, "Sir, we have reason to believe Iran is back at developing nuclear weapons and they have plans to make strikes when they obtain them." And the president says, "But we want to see the Dow rise and keep gas prices low." Just let them do what they want. We'll deal with it later. I won't be the president anyway when the time comes. How would that be a good thing? Is that what we'd actually want a president to do? If you turn a blind eye to dangers, that's turning your back on the very people who elected you to do the right thing and look out for everyone's best interests. The bottom line is this. It's important to have a good, strong economy. It's important to have a good, strong stock market. It's important for people to be free to pursue their lives. But none of those things matter if we allow ourselves to be a target just so not to disturb those things. Sometimes we really do have to take a detour. More importantly, we have to understand why the detour is necessary. Sometimes we have to go out of our way just a little bit to have a better road later. It does suck. It's easy to complain about it. It's easy to make someone into the bad guy. It's also easy to be a bit selfish and self-focused. Theodore Roosevelt understood there are consequences to complacency, and Trump understands that too. What he's asking for are two things here: your trust and confidence, and your willingness to help him achieve the ultimate goal. Because we all have to be in this together if we want America to succeed. A successful country does not run on autopilot. It only succeeds when the country collectively acts as one singular force.